Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hey guys, this is Ernest James, host of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and I got a question to ask you. Could you buy me a cheeseburger? Better yet, could you buy me a value meal? Yes? Well, guess what? I don't need a value meal. However, for the cost of a value meal, you can support this podcast to keep us on the air. Just go to Patreon/Deal to Heal podcast and choose any one of the 3 tiers that's available. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, go to Cash App and make a donation to $EJames, the number 418. Make a one-time donation to the Cash App, or again, go to Patreon to support this podcast and keep us on the air. Thanks in advance. Be blessed. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can, and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share. Don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else. Share our podcast. Let people know that we are here. We're bringing great information and great information and pouring into our audience the best that we know how, dealing with all kinds of issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So make sure that you guys, number one, are subscribing. We definitely want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, also to our podcast on your listening devices and listening platforms. And also you're sharing it with someone else. Make sure that you guys are doing that. Also, I want to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you have to stay until the end of the podcast in order to get that information. So our first segment of the podcast that we just started, is our product of the week. So as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, which means we sustain ourselves to keep ourselves on the air by bringing you products and information that you can purchase in order to help support us to keep us on the air. So out of our Deal to Heal Tees collection, our product of the week is our Purpose Tee. So our Purpose Tee says, make sure you guys can see it. It says, purpose, God will reveal it, you must fulfill it, right? Purpose, God will reveal it, you must fulfill it. As we know, oftentimes a lot of us are looking to find what is our purpose? Why are we here? Why did God create us and put us on this earth? But the thing is that God, once we start looking for those answers, once we start asking the question and looking for the answer of what is our purpose that we are here, God will reveal it to us, but we must fulfill it, right? So faith without works is dead. Manifestation without the manual labor behind it to bring it to fruition is also dead and null and void. So make sure that you guys are going to Deal to Heal Tees on Shopify to check out our tees. The information and link will be down below. So make sure that you guys are checking that out. Deal to Heal Tees. Again, our product of the week is our purpose tee, which says God will reveal it, but you must fulfill it. All right. All right. So make sure that you guys also are checking out our websites. Go to our website, www.dealhealfulfill.org, dealhealfulfill.org, which is our main website, which is have all the information about Deal to Heal, the podcast, but not only the podcast, but dealhealfulfill.org as an organization and everything that we have going on at the time. You find out more about me as a speaker, as a host, more about the Deal to Heal Tees, and also our ebooks. You'll be able to find a link to the Deal to Heal Tees from there, and also you'll be able to find the link to our ebooks. Or you can just go to ebooksbyejames.com, which is our other website, ebooksbyejames.com. Right now we have, I believe, 4 ebooks that are up and available for you to purchase, including our newest ebook, which is Start Your Podcast Now in Only 3 Steps. So you listen to podcasts, you ever thought, you know what, I think I want to have my own podcast. Go to ebooksbyejames.com and purchase the ebook Start Your Podcast Now in Only 3 Steps. All right. So thank you guys for checking that out. And also another thing that I've been blessed to be a part of is the Forgiveness Mission. It's an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every quarter of the year, right? So you have to go to Eventbrite to register or go to forgivenessmission.com. We talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it isn't, who is it for, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world, and forgiveness and well-being, which is talking about how forgiveness or holding on to unforgiveness affects our bodies. So we want to make sure that we're checking that out, that you guys are checking out. So today, I usually say today, just like any other day, we're blessed with a guest, but today we don't have a guest. Today is just me. I just want to talk about something that happened the other day. So one of the things that as a young entrepreneur myself, one of the things that I've been getting into now is real estate and learning a little bit more about the real estate market. And one of the things that came to my attention was gentrification, right? It's just when people other than investors, should I say, that maybe other than the people that actually live in a community will come to a community and buy up the properties of that community, whether they be vacant, just for sale or whatever. They will upgrade the property, therefore upgrading the community. But a lot of times when they do that, they price the people that live in the community out, where the people that live in the communities can no longer afford to live in the communities after they've fixed them up and made them nicer. So that's one of the things that came up while I was talking. But the reason why that even came up even more, why I wanted to bring it up today, because a friend of mine moved into a new home the other day, and she was renting. And so she rented this home, and I went over to check it out, and the house was very nice, the yard very okay. The block that her home was on, pretty nice block. But on this block, there are 2 vacant houses, right? And one of the vacant houses happened to be right next door to her home. And because it was vacant, no one lived there. The trees was grown out. The weeds was high. The grass was high. Just really looked terrible and didn't really look safe for my friend. And I thought about her and her young children that she has. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really safe to have the children playing by all these bushes, because we don't know what's in this, within all these trees and bushes and things like that. Could be animals or you know, perverts or anybody could be hiding in these bushes the way that they were so overgrown over the sidewalk, over the street. Like even if you were to park in front of the street, the trees and things was all overgrown. And so I decided that I was going to come over and to cut those trees down for her. And so me and a friend of mine came over, and it took us a couple hours actually to do it, to cut down the trees, cut down the bushes, cut down the trees, clear the sidewalk, actually clean the sidewalk off, which was so covered in dirt and grass, you didn't even know it was a sidewalk there. So we were able to clean the sidewalk off, clean the grass, from the sidewalk over to the street, clean out or also clean the street up. And while we were doing this, there was a couple of things. People that actually lived on the block already, some of them was coming out and kind of just watching us, clean up these trees and this bushes that was there. And some of them watched, and there was some coming and going. Some men came out and looked, some women came out and looked. And when we got done, it looks very nice. It looked very nice. It's cleaned up. Definitely made a big, huge impact just on that block alone, right? But what another thing that got my attention, what made me think about wanted to talk about this, is because there was actually a gentleman that worked for the city that just happened to be coming in down that block to check for I think he was checking for electrical things, something to do with the electric. And what he said to me was, he asked me, did I buy the property? He was like, did you just buy that property and you're cleaning it up? I said, no. I said, I seen, number one, it needed to be done because it's way overgrown, but my friend lives here. And I wanted to make sure that this area was safe for her and her kids to travel past, walking back and forth and things like that without having to worry about, whether it's animals in the bushes or a person is in the bushes, or just the fact that the bushes were overgrown. And so he said, wow, I didn't even know that it was people like you that exist that would just do things like that without someone saying something to them, without, even being paid to do it or anything like that. And so that struck me for two reasons. Number one, I'm African American, of course, and he was not. He was a white guy, and he also said to me that he had spent a lot of times overseas and different countries that were poorer than America. And so when he moved back to America and started working in this particular neighborhood and in this city, and I'm not going to say what the city is, but that when he began to work there and saw how much of the abandoned houses and things like that was in the city, he was like, wow, I didn't even know that places like this exist or conditions like this existed in America, right? And so with that, with the things that he said, and also watching as I worked, that the people that already lived in that community, that lived on that block, came out and watched as I worked, and didn't say much, but just kind of watched. And then when I was finished, it was saying how nice it looked and things like that. But it just brought to my attention, like, what was so hard about that? And I just thought about, like, how many years did the people that lived on the other side of that house, how many years had they lived there and never thought to cut the grass? How many years did the people across the street from the house, whose yard looked very nice, whose grass was cut and everything was all together, but how long had they lived on that same block, right across the street from that same house, and never thought to take the time and say, you know what, let me do this just because it'll make my neighborhood look better. Let me do this just because it'll make my neighborhood look safer, right? Cleaner, more put together. Not just the fact that my house looks nice, but now if I take care of this house, just by cutting the grass, I'm not saying rebuild the whole house, but just by cutting the grass and kind of maintaining it a little bit, that it'll help the whole community look nicer, right? Because a lot of times we get so upset when we talk about gentrification and talk about that these investors that don't live in our community, that don't look like us, will come into our community and pour into it and then price us out of it. And pretty much we have to move out, when we ourselves could take that same pride and put that same effort into our own communities, where we can fix up our own communities and live there ourselves. And so when I start asking about why is that we don't do that, there's a lot of answers why. But one thing I can say, that lack of information is no longer an issue, right? A lot of times we say, well, we didn't know. I don't know is no longer a acceptable answer for pretty much any question, because I don't know simply means you didn't look long enough to find the answer. Because with our cell phones and the internet and things like that, every answer to any question you want is at your fingertips. So why don't we, right? Why don't we take out the time to fix up our own communities, to invest in our own communities, and do what we need to do as a community? And even if we can't, and let's just take that off the table, because there's a lot of things to say, okay, well, maybe we don't have the money, and maybe we don't have this to invest. Okay, cool. So we can't buy the community, but we can clean it. It didn't cost me anything to pick up the garbage from this in front of this vacant house. It didn't cost me anything to cut down the trees. It didn't cost me anything to cut the grass. And it costs me anything to do that, right? So in our communities, it costs us nothing to pick up the garbage. It's not cost us nothing to take pride in where we live, right? And so I just wanted to pose the question, not necessarily pose the question, but to inspire, right? And to inspire us, I wanted to take the time to inspire us to take more pride into where we live, take more pride into our communities, right? So the three things I just wanted to leave you guys with that I want us to do as a community when we're looking at where we live, right? So number one, I want us to take pride in our communities, and not just take pride in our communities, but take positive pride in our communities, because there's a lot of pride sometimes in where we come from, right? So I come from Chicago. So a lot of times I hear about, oh, I'm from out west, right? I'm from the South Side. I'm from the Wild Hunteds. I'm from Motown. All these different areas of Chicago where someone is from. But generally, when we're talking about that pride of where you're from, we're talking it from a negative aspect, being that some of those areas is real tough to grow up in. Some of those areas are real tough to survive in, right? And so we take pride in, yeah, I made it from that area. Yeah, I'm from that area. I'm tough, and I, was built and maintained from that area. So we have pride in that, but we need to take a positive pride, begin to take positive pride in our neighborhoods and in our communities, right? So that we're not longer just saying that we're from these areas because they were tough and they built us to just have this hard exterior or anything like that. But now that we're taking pride in our communities, to say I'm from this community because I'm taking pride in how beautiful it is. I'm taking pride in knowing that there's other people that came from these same communities, and being able to be an example of where we came from and where we're going to, but also how we're changing our communities, right? So the second thing I wanted to do is just take care of our communities. Again, like I said, it don't cost us anything to pick up the garbage. It don't cost us anything not to throw the garbage down, right? I hate when I see people, and this is one of my pet peeves, and I'm just going to get off this real quick, but I hate when I'm driving down the street and people throw garbage out of their car windows, right? And no matter what neighborhood I'm in or where I am, it don't even have to be my neighborhood. That just is a pet peeve of mine. Like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just throw it in the garbage? Anyway, that's a pet peeve. But what I'm saying is, taking care of our own communities doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't cost us anything to clean up in front of our houses. It doesn't cost us much, maybe a little bit, to cut the grass, right? To cut our grass, cut the neighbor's grass, cut the grass of the vacant house next to us, if there is a vacant house, right? Just to keep up the neighborhood, right? If this house is so bad that it needs to be boarded up, it might take a little money for us to board it up. But again, we're taking pride in our neighborhood. We're taking pride in our community. We're going to start taking care of it, cleaning it up, making it look better, right? Because when we change our environment, we change our mindset. Some of the reasons we have some of the problems that we have in some of our communities is because people don't feel like they have hope, because they come outside and all they see is darkness and bleak, right? All they see is garbage and things like that, and tore down abandoned buildings and things like that. Once we start working on our neighborhood, changing the things that we see, then we can change the things that we want to be, change our mindsets, right? And take more pride in our neighborhoods, for positive pride, because of the things that we're doing to make our neighborhoods better. And lastly, I want us to to do is to invest in our neighborhoods. Again, information is at our fingertips now. I'm learning about real estate. I'm learning about what it means to be a real estate investor, what it takes. And it doesn't take a whole lot to get started, right? There's things that's called joint ventures. You know, you can get an LLC for probably less than $100 in most states. Build an LLC, start your actual business, start building business credit by getting these net 30 accounts, net 90 accounts, right? Building your credit. You know, I think Capital One generally, once you have your LLC, will give you at least $2,000 in credit on a credit card just out the door as a new business, right? So even as that, to start with that, to start building these businesses where we can start investing in our community. And again, the knowledge is at our fingertips. We can't say we don't know anymore. And if we don't know, that just means we haven't looked long enough to find the answers. So we have to, number one, take pride in our start taking pride in our communities again. Number two, we have to start taking care of our communities. And then number three, we got to start investing back into our communities. And that's what's going to change our communities around. And when we start doing that, we don't have to worry about gentrification, because we can create re-gentrification, as I like to call it, which is us, instead of waiting for someone else to come in, invest in our communities and usually push us out, we can invest in our own communities and build it up, where now it's a place that we want to stay, we want to live, and now it's a reflection of who we are as a people. So that's just a couple of things that was on my mind I wanted to share with you guys. So just think about it. We really want to take out the time to begin to pour it back into our communities where we live, in our physical communities, our homes, our yards. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. It just takes some effort. So that's all I wanted to say today. Just wanted to get something off my chest real quick. So I didn't have much to say today. Just want you guys to think about that. To my listeners, I told you guys that I would tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast at the beginning of the podcast. And the way that you win $100 is by entering our super subscriber contest. So what does that mean? You must first subscribe to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. And after you've done those three things, you want to text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is random and it's ongoing, which means that anytime I can pull a name and you can win $100. And once you win, once you're in, you can always win. You don't never have to re-up and re-enter. Once you've entered, once you've subscribed again to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify, just text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win, and you can win $100 from the podcast. And it's just that easy, right? So again, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Just real brief. Just wanted to get that off my mind. So to all my listeners, again, this is Earnest James. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where I'm your host, and our mission is to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill. So until next time, you guys be blessed. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the podcast. However, don't forget to join our text line at 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to receive text messages with new events and things that is going on and new episodes as they release. All right, see you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.